The ruling is in respect of the complaint of contempt that was brought against the minority leader, Honorable Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin, member for Efutu and minority leader of the House. Honorable members, on Tuesday, 11th November 2025, this House received a formal complaint under Order 6 and 33 from Honorable Mahama Ayarga, Member of Parliament for Boko Central and Majority Leader. The complaint alleges that Honorable Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin, Member for Efutu and Minority Leader, has engaged in conduct which, if substantiated, may constitute contempt of Parliament and a breach of parliamentary privilege pursuant to Orders 30 and 31-0 of our standing orders. The complaint arises from events said to have occurred during the sitting of the ECOWAS Parliament in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Nigeria, from 25th to 28th September 2025. According to Honorable Ayarga, Honorable Afenyo-Markin attended that session of the ECOWAS Parliament in contravention of a duly adopted resolution of this House, which excluded his name from Ghana's delegation to that regional parliament. The complainant asserts further that this conduct amounts to an affront to the authority and dignity of Parliament, and accordingly invites the Speaker to refer the matter to the Committee on Privileges and Immunities for inquiry and recommendations to the House. Honorable members, as I indicated at the close of the Majority Leader's submission that day, the standing orders prescribe the procedure to be followed when allegations of contempt or breach of privilege are raised. It falls to the Speaker, in the first instance, to determine whether the facts disclosed in the complaint established a prima facie case warranting referral to the committee. Members recall that I deferred my ruling to the next day, and that was to be Wednesday, 12 November 2025. However, the pressures of business on the order paper made it impossible to deliver the ruling on that day. I am now in a position to do so. In considering this matter, I have reflected carefully on the facts alleged, the standing orders, and the relevant constitutional and statutory provisions governing 1, the authority of Parliament, 2, the binding force of parliamentary resolutions, and 3, the scope of Parliament's contempt jurisdiction. What is the nature and effect of a resolution of Parliament? Honorable members, a resolution of Parliament is a formal act through which the House expresses its collective will on a matter properly before it. Once adopted, a resolution becomes a binding decision of the House until it is rescinded, suspended, or varied in accordance with the standing orders of the House. A resolution, therefore, has continuing effect, and the Speaker, as the presiding authority, is bound to give effect to it. While the Speaker may clarify the scope or meaning of a resolution, he cannot amend, modify, or disregard it unilaterally. Honorable members, this principle reflects the doctrine of collective responsibility. When Parliament speaks through a resolution, that decision binds all members, irrespective of political affiliation, leadership status, or personal opinion. As Eskime reminds us, and I quote Eskime, the dignity of Parliament depends upon the observation of its rules, and the authority of Parliament depends upon their enforcement, unquote. This is the foundation upon which parliamentary collective responsibility rests. So what is the power and scope of Parliament's contempt jurisdiction? Contempt of Parliament refers to any act or omission that obstructs, impedes, or undermines Parliament in the performance of its functions, or which affronts its dignity, or tends either directly or indirectly to obstruct, impede, undermine Parliament in the performance of its functions, or affront the dignity of Parliament. Parliament's power to address contempt is inherent in its constitutional status as a coordinate arm of government and is expressly recognized under Article 122 of the Constitution, Order 30 of the Standing Orders, and Section 26 of the Parliament Act 1965, Act 300. Honorable members, the jurisdiction to sanction contempt is not limited to acts committed within the chamber. The relevant test is whether the conduct, wherever it occurs, has a direct or indirect tendency to obstruct, diminish, or bring Parliament into disrepute or ridicule. Parliament may therefore exercise its contempt jurisdiction over conduct occurring outside the presence of the House, where such conduct undermines the institution's authority or impairs its ability to give effect to its decisions. Honorable members, I note that the specific instances of contempt listed in the standing orders, such as disorderly behavior, deceit, or disobedience of an order issued by the presiding officer, do not expressly identify non-compliance with or disregard of a resolution as a distinct ground of contempt. A resolution, as earlier observed, is a decision of Parliament, not an order of the Speaker. There is therefore no express provision making its breach a stand-alone category of contempt. However, Section 26 of Act 300 makes clear that the enumeration of contempt grounds is not exhaustive. Parliament retains the right to treat as contempt any act that impedes its functions or affronts its dignity. Order 31A similarly contemplates conduct, whether specific or general, that brings Parliament into disrepute or undermines its institutional authority. It is within this broader category that the present allegation must be assessed. Honorable members, it is useful to consider what constitutes an affront to the dignity or authority of Parliament. Orders 30C and 31 prove directly or indirectly brings Parliament into disrepute or which undermines its authority, reputation, or dignity may amount to contempt. These capture behavior that, while not obstructing proceedings, undermines Parliament's standing, coherence, or credibility. An affront to the dignity or authority of Parliament may arise where a member's conduct A, challenges or disregards a valid act or decision of the House. B, diminishes the institutional authority of Parliament or the Speaker. C, undermines public confidence in the discipline, unity, or dignity of Parliament. Or D, brings Parliament into disrepute before state organs or external bodies. Unlike other specific grounds of contempt set out in the standing orders, this category focuses not on the place where the act occurred, but on its effect. Conduct that conveys the impression that Parliament's decision may be ignored without consequence qualify as an affront to dignity, even if committed outside the presence of the House. Democratic experience across the world teaches that institutions endure not by their formal design alone, but by the conduct of those entrusted with them. The strength of this House, therefore, rests not merely in its constitutional design, but in the consistent respect members accord to its decisions and processes. Honorable members, having reviewed the complaint, the standing orders, and the governing principles, I am satisfied that the matter raised prima facie implicates the dignity and institutional integrity of this House. Pursuant to Order 34.1, I therefore refer the matter, the complaint lodged by the Honorable Member for Bawku Central and a majority leader to the Committee on Privileges and Immunities for examination, inquiry, investigation, and report to the House. The committee is directed to, 1, ascertain the relevant facts giving rise to the complaint, including the actions taken by the House and by the Honorable Member concerned. 2, review those actions taken within the framework of our standing orders and the applicable protocols of the ECOWAS Parliament. 3, determine whether the conduct, if established, constitutes contempt of Parliament or a breach of privilege under Orders 30 and 31A. And 4, make appropriate recommendations to the House for its consideration. In conclusion, honorable members, whatever our political differences, the authority of Parliament rests on a shared commitment to respect its decisions and uphold the integrity of its processes. Allegations that a member has disregarded a decision of this House must therefore be examined with fairness, constitutional fidelity, and a clear regard for the institutional independence of Parliament. I urge the committee to discharge its mandate with diligence, impartiality, and decorum, ensuring that all parties are given a fair hearing. Until the committee completes its inquiry and responds to the House, and reports to the House, I advise honorable members to refrain from public commentary on this matter in order to preserve the dignity and unity of this august House. I thank all of you for your attention, and I pray that discipline will prevail in this matter.